introduce our speaker, man of the hour today. Brandon Stone served 15 years in the fire service, retiring as a captain when injury cut his career short. In his career, he served as the fire training officer for his department, as well as working as an instructor for the Davis Applied Technologies Emergency Services Program. Since leaving the fire service, he has continued to follow a career in safety, working as a safety manager for Rocky Mountain Raceways, as well as several construction companies. He now serves as the Outreach and Community Education Manager for the Utah Safety Council. Brandon has a strong drive to continue to develop skills and knowledge in safety, as well as a passion for teaching and promoting it in the workplace and in the community. Please welcome Brandon Stone.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm Brandon. Recently rejoined the Utah Safety Council, and I'm happy to be back. Today, I'm here to talk with you all about summer safety. Basically, just topics, ways to stay safe as we get out during the summer and enjoy the good weather. So, fun in the sun, whatever the case you may be doing outside. We got a lot of beauty here in Utah. It's nice to get out and enjoy it during the summer. Hiking, camping, biking, whatever the case may be. Thing is, as we do get out and get more active, injuries and illnesses can become more prevalent. So we're going to talk about some ways to stay safe and avoid those sort of things as we do enjoy the beauty of Utah. Starting with water safety. It's fun to play on the water in the sun, cool off during the high heat. But if we're not careful, a day on the water can turn tragic, right? On average, 11 people die in the US every day from unintentional drowning. That's a lot of people. That's kind of startling to me, 11 people every day. And 1 in 5 of those deaths is a child under the age of 14. So we definitely want to stay safe when we're on the water. Some ways that we can do that: stay aware. And the time it takes to reply to a text message or apply sunblock, a person can drown. It's just that fast. So we need to be aware. If we have kids near water, we can't take our eyes off them. If there's weak swimmers near water, we can't take our eyes off them. It can happen in the blink of an eye. When you're swimming, know your physical limits. Don't try to go beyond your own abilities. And for obvious reasons, we want to stay sober on the water. Being impaired is going to impair your ability to react if there's an emergency. So obviously, we want to stay sober. Good swimming skills are essential. Like I said earlier, keep a close watch on anybody that's not a good, strong swimmer. And then wear life jackets. If you're on any kind of a watercraft or you're a weak swimmer, wear life jackets. The thing about a life jacket, the way it saves a life is it keeps your head above water even if you're unconscious. So life jackets are critical when staying safe on the water. And then knowing CPR. A person that's drowned, if they're pulled from the water quickly and given CPR, have a really good chance of surviving that. So it's important to know CPR and to not be afraid to do it if you are in that situation. Moving on, heat illnesses. So heat illnesses, that's your heat exhaustion, which probably a good chunk of us in the room here, we've had heat exhaustion before. You're out in the sun, you're working hard, you get dizzy, you get faint, sweating. So a lot of us have experienced that. There are ways that we can prevent heat illness. Choose lightweight, light-colored clothing and loose-fitting clothing. Stay hydrated. When it's really hot or you're really active out in the heat, drink a carbohydrate electrolyte drink, not just water. You want to replenish some of those things. And try to avoid the hottest parts of the day. If you're able to schedule whatever it is you're doing, schedule it for the morning, schedule it for the evening. Try to avoid the high temperatures of the midday. Never leave a child or a pet unattended in a vehicle. I found this pretty interesting. Even on a 76 degree day, the temperature inside a car will raise 40 degrees in an hour. That's surprising, isn't it? You'd think 76 degrees, that's not all that hot of a day, but within an hour, that's 116 degrees in that car. And then wear sunscreen. Surprisingly enough, maybe, sunscreen does help prevent heat illness. When you get sunburned, it affects your body's ability to shed heat. So it does affect heat illness. Wear sunscreen, cover up. I'm going to talk about heat exhaustion. Heat exhaustion, it's a serious illness. Symptoms, you might feel faint, dizzy, sweating, cool, pale, clammy skin, nausea, vomiting. The best thing to do for somebody that's suffering heat exhaustion is to get them to rest and get them hydrated, get them someplace cool in the shade if you can, and then put wet towels, cloths on them, help cool down. But heat stroke, so to talk about heat stroke is a medical emergency. This person is in trouble. People that suffer heat stroke can be hospitalized for a week or longer. It's a true medical emergency. Symptoms, feeling faint, dizzy, headache, confusion, disorientation, loss of consciousness. One of the big key indicators of heat stroke as compared to heat exhaustion is a person that's suffering heat stroke will no longer be sweating. Their skin will be dry and very red and very warm. So it's a really important distinction to notice. If you're helping somebody that's got heat stroke, we want to submerge them in water if we can, up to the neck. Cool room temperature water, not cold. That's the best way to cool somebody down that's suffering the heat stroke. If you don't have the ability to submerge them, then put them in a cold shower. If you don't have the ability to do that, take off as much of the clothing as you can and put wet towels, wet blankets, wet whatever you have on them. And make sure to call 911. Because like I said, that's a true medical emergency. And it's also important too, if you're helping somebody with heat stroke, don't give them anything to drink. You're just going to give them something that they'll likely vomit up. Fireworks, we're days away from the big firework day. We all love fireworks. I guess not everybody does. My dog doesn't, but that's another story. Fireworks are a lot of fun, but they can cause injuries and fires. In 2023, 9,700 people were treated for injuries resulting from fireworks, and there were 8 deaths. Annually, there are over 19,500 fires caused by fireworks, with 1,900 of those being structure fires. When we say structure fires, we're mostly talking about house fires. People lighting fireworks off in their front yard and end up burning their house down for it. So ways to stay safe when we're playing with fireworks? Well, don't play with fireworks. Responsibly light fireworks. It's important not to let kids handle fireworks for obvious reasons. Kids are not smart and they'll do not smart things with fireworks. Keep them out of their hands. Never hold a lit firework in your hand. Fuses are unpredictable. Never point a firework at someone else, even if it's super fun to point a Roman candle. Don't do it. Do not try to relight or handle fireworks that fail. And don't stand over a dud. Don't be looking down that dud like, hey, why didn't you go off? Because then it will, won't it? Yeah. You want to keep water on hand. Soak fireworks that fail. And in case you start any little fires, keep a hose on hand or at least a bucket of water. Soak spent and failed fireworks for several hours before disposal. You really want to make sure that the water's soaked into everything there, all the little bits, and there's no chance of reigniting a fire. And then sparklers. Sparklers are tough. Kids love sparklers. Sparklers can be fun. You write your name or whatever. The thing about sparklers, they burn at 2,000 degrees. That's extremely hot. Really easy to burn yourself with it. And as we established earlier, kids are not smart. So if you're gonna let the kids play with sparklers, just supervise them. And then if we're gonna get out and go camping, we want to have a campfire. Some ways to have a campfire safely. To talk about in 2018, there were 1,327 wildfires in Utah, of which 688 were human caused. It's a lot of wildfires to be caused by people. Those are all preventable fires. 688 of the 1,300 we had were preventable. So some ways to have a campfire safely. Be aware of fire restrictions first and foremost. If there's fire restrictions in the area, you can't have a fire. Only start fires in well-lit fire pits away from other flammables. You don't want to start a fire next to a bunch of dry brush or under a tree. Make sure there's not other flammables that can be involved by your fire. Keep them small and under control. Avoid burning any logs that do not fit within the fire pit. Supervise children and pets near fires and never leave a fire unattended. Severe burns happen really quickly. And fires that jump out of a fire pit can spread really fast. So obvious reasons, really important to keep them supervised. And then we want to fully extinguish the fire. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. If you can't put your hand down in those spent coals and keep it there, then that's too hot. You need to continue to extinguish that fire. Some little tips on putting the fire out: douse, stir, and then feel. Drown the campfire and mix in the ashes with the soil and help extinguish it. Some other ways that we can prevent wildfires. When we're out and about, avoid parking vehicles over dry vegetation. The exhaust or even hot brakes can light dry vegetation on fire. Where'd I go? When towing trailers, it's really important to keep your safety chains tight. Don't let them drag on the ground. Those sparks can shoot off the roadway into dry grass and start a fire. When target shooting, avoid shooting towards dry grass and rock. Do not shoot into rock backstops. Shooting and contacting, hitting the rocks with your bullets cause sparks. And now you've thrown sparks into dry grass and started a fire. And a couple other little things on shooting outdoors. Do not use exploding targets or tracer rounds for obvious reasons, right? Really easy to light the dry grasses with those. Never light fireworks in wild lands for obvious reasons. And then take care of all possible ignition sources: cigarette butts, matches, hot hinges of tools and equipment, whatever it is, anything that could be an ignition source. Just be mindful of what you do with those when you're out and about. So when we're out recreating, whatever the case may be, hiking, camping, biking, climbing, off-roading, whatever it is, it's fun, but accidents do happen, so it's important to be prepared for that. Do you want to dress for your activity? If you're hiking, wear boots with good traction and ankle support. Use the right protective equipment. If you're mountain biking, you're going to want a helmet, elbow guards, knee guards, leg guards, whatever the case may be, depending on how aggressive you are. And if you're on the water, obviously, wear your life vest. Ensure your equipment and vehicle's in good condition. If you're going to go mountain biking, make sure it's in good condition. Make sure those brakes are going to stop you on that downhill, right? Make sure your vehicle's in good condition, not going to leave you stranded in the woods or on the water. And be prepared. Take water, food, clothing, supplies in case things do not go as planned. And then, shameless plug for the Utah Safety Council: take a first aid class. Be prepared. Know how to help somebody if they get in trouble, if they get hurt. And then have a well-stocked first aid kit with you. I always encourage people to really tailor their first aid kit towards the activity that they're going to engage in. But if you're going to be out and away from help, take some things with you in case an injury does occur. And then outdoor critters. If you come into contact with somebody while you're out having fun. We don't have a ton of them, but we do have ticks here in Utah. So ways to avoid getting a tick: avoid the grassy, brushy areas along the edges of woodlands and fields. Tuck your pants and socks. Tuck your pants into your socks and your shirt into your pants. It's not a good look, but it'll keep ticks off of you. Light colored clothing makes it easier to detect ticks. So as you're walking out and through the brush, if your clothing is light colored, that tick's going to show up on there and you can just pluck them off before he attaches. Use insect repellent. Do a thorough check for ticks when you leave the area. Make sure that you don't have any on you. Some places to check where they frequently go. Make sure to check your armpit, your waistline, your belly button, scalp, and crotch. And it may take up to 2 hours for a tick to attach. So it's important. As soon as you get out of that area, check yourself. You can, if you find that tick before it attaches, it's just a lot easier to get rid of him. To talk about removal, you got to be careful when you're dealing with ticks and removing them. If you're not able to get the head of the tick with a pair of tweezers, I would advise you to go to an emergency department or a clinic to have that tick removed, just because the risk of Lyme disease or Rocky Mountain spotted fever from that tick is high. So if you can get your tweezers on the head of that tick, just light pressure, pull him back, he will let go. If you do remove a tick, save it in rubbing alcohol. The reason for that is in case you do develop some symptoms, You can take that tick with you to the emergency department, and they'll be able to figure out what disease that tick had that he shared with you. Talk about black bears. Black bears are the only bear that we have here in Utah. It's important when you're out and about to be alert to signs of the bears. You might see tracks, droppings, or diggings. The thing about black bears, they're really not very aggressive. They don't want to mess with you. Typically, when a black bear is aggressive, it's because you've startled him, you found him with his babies, and that's why they're going to attack. So be alert to the signs. Hike in groups. Keep pets on a leash. If I know it's a lot of fun to go out hiking and let the dog off the leash and run around, but if there is a black bear out and that dog decides that he wants to make friends, you could cause yourself an incident. So keeping your dog on a leash will prevent that. So hiking groups, stay on the trail and make noise. Let them know that you're there. If you let a black bear know that you're in the area, they're going to avoid you. If you find a dead animal, leave that area. That's something that's going to draw that black bear over. So just leave that area. Store food securely and keep your campsite clean. If you're going to be spending the night, spending time in the backcountry or in bear country, it's important to keep your food and all scented items away from your tent or your camper. And that includes stuff like deodorant, toothpaste, anything that's scented is going to attract a bear. So keep those away from your sleeping, stored in an airtight container or in a vehicle or a bear safe container that you hang high off the ground. If you are charged by a black bear, stand your ground. Don't run. Don't back up. Don't lie down or play dead. If you see a black bear and it stands up, it grunts or makes noises, that's not a sign of aggression. That's just him saying hello. So don't take that as a sign of aggression. If you see a black bear and it stands up, that's just him saying hi. Do not run or climb a tree. That bear can run better than you and climb better than you. And if you are attacked, if you have bear spray, like I said, prepare. If you're going to be in bear country, take bear spray with you. Bear spray will deter most bear attacks. Sad to say, but if you are attacked, it is legal to kill a bear in defense of yourself. So if you're armed and a bear's charging you, aim for the center of the bear and fire until he stops moving. If you don't have a firearm, fight back. Rocks, sticks, knives, hands, feet, whatever you got. Given a good defense will drive most black bears off. Oh. And then we're going to talk about big cats. Here in Utah, we've got mountain lions or cougars, same thing. We have lynx and bobcats. They're found in forested and mountain areas. They're most active after dark. A lot of the same stuff that applies to the black bear applies to the big cats. Hike in groups, keep your pet on a leash, stay on the trail, make lots of noise. They don't want to mess with you. If you let them know you're there, they're going to avoid you. Once again, if you find a dead animal, leave that area. If you do get confronted by a big cat, don't run. Maintain eye contact. Let them see your eyes. Stand tall, wave your arms or clothing overhead. Make yourself appear bigger than you are. Speak firm and loud at the cougar as you back away. And if attacked, once again, fight back. It's legal to kill that cat in defense of yourself. And last, talk a little bit about rattlesnakes. When you're out hiking, stay on the trails. Best way to avoid a rattlesnake is to stay on the trail. Keep your pets on a leash. Once again, your dog sees a rattlesnake, it might decide it wants to play with it. Not going to be a good day for anybody. Do not approach rattlesnakes. If you hear one, stop what you're doing and identify where it is. If you hear a rattlesnake, it's letting you know it's there. You're close to it, it doesn't want you close, and it's letting you know. So figure out where it is and then just stay 5 feet away from them. If you are bitten by a rattlesnake, if help can get to you, then you want to stay as still as possible. If you get agitated, you get really active, you're going to circulate that venom more quickly. So if help is coming, stay as still and calm as you can. If the wound is bleeding, you want to allow that wound to bleed. It'll leak out some of that venom. Remove any clothing or jewelry from the site of the bite, because once the body's reaction to that bite is going to be to swell. So you want to make sure that you remove anything there. Keep the side of the bite below the heart. So you got bit on the arm, you don't want to raise your arm over your head because that's just going to increase that flow of that venom. Do not cut the wound or attempt to suck the venom from the wound. You're not in a Western, and it's not going to work. And do not apply a tourniquet or ice water. Common sense might say, hey, put a tourniquet on that. That's going to stop the venom. It won't. So tourniquets, unfortunately, are not effective when it comes to rattlesnake bite. That's it for me. Questions, comments, concerns? Yes, sir.
Could we go over the first couple slides that we missed? We were just before like the water safety thing. Good question.
So you're talking like here? Okay. Basically what we talked about, it's kind of shocking. 11 people die every day from drowning. That's shocking to me. Of those, 1 in 5 is a child under the age of 14. Ways to stay safe when you're with in the water, stay aware. Talked about how in the time it takes to send a text message or apply sunscreen is the time it takes to drown. It happens fast. So we want to stay aware, keep our eyes on weak swimmers or children near water. Know your physical limits when swimming. Don't try to swim further than you're able. Don't swim alone because then you've got nobody to help you. Stay sober on the water for obvious reasons. Develop good swimming skills is essential in staying safe in the water. Life jackets save lives. Life jackets will prevent the head from dropping underwater, even in an unconscious person. And then knowing CPR, if you're able to pull somebody from the water quickly and give them CPR, they have a really good chance of surviving that drowning. Did you hear heat illness stuff? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so you said like have some electrolytes in the sun.
Yeah.
So what are some good electrolytes in that?
Any of your sports drinks. So your Gatorade, your, I don't even know, Powerades. A lot of, I've noticed lately that there's drinks in the coolers at the convenience stores that are just electrolytes. They're not flavored, excuse me, they're not super flavored, not a lot of sugar. It's specifically an electrolyte drink, like Pedialyte, really good electrolyte drink to have. And really, you can even get the powder. So like you can throw that in your first aid kit, have a little powder packet of an electrolyte, throw that in your first aid kit, and then all you need is a bottle of water. Yes.
So like, do you think it's like safe to play like soccer on like a Saturday, the middle of the day, like you just like wait until like the sun goes down?
You know, it a lot depends on you, your acclimation, you know, how used to being really active in the heat are you? You know, Sunday I went for a 5-mile hike. It was like 95 degrees. I've been hiking all year, so I'm acclimated to it, right? So it wasn't a problem. But if you haven't been out in the heat, you haven't been working hard, and you just go out on a Saturday afternoon and play soccer, you're probably going to have a bad day. Comments, questions, concerns? Awesome. Well, thanks you guys for your time and your attention. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, thank you so much. I think we know to be sober on the water this 4th of July and no sparklers, right? So with that being said, our next Start with Safety is on August 1st. We'd love to welcome you guys back here in person. It is for labor rights. So if you guys want to sign up, reach out to us or call us. And with that being said, stay safe.